again, this is Fred and Harry Easter of working on real dreams, coming at you with the sole purpose of making a difference in the lives of all those that we can reach. We also have a very special guest, the legendary, the pastor, B.T. Rice of New Horizon Christian Church. He has been active all of his professional career in making a difference in our communities. I mean, a positive difference. As an activist, a pastor, faith leader, and the things that he has done and people he has touched is you can't put a number on it. I'm proud today to say that this is my pastor, and I've gotten so much from him. And our relationship was built initially on the things that he has done and was still doing in the community. But since that, it has grown to much more than this. He's not only my pastor, but he's my best friend. I'd like to introduce to you today, Pastor B.T. Rice.
Well, first of all, I'm just glad to be here. And anytime that you have an opportunity to speak to the community, it is always a blessing, and every little bit helps. You're right, I've been out here in the St. Louis area. I moved to here in '79, and the church that I pastored was over on Taylor and Greer. And it was then that I got involved with the police department. Can't think of what district it was, but the office was, the police department's office was on Deer.
That's the district.
Martin Luther, Deer Street area. And I went to them to find out what could the clergy do to help in what they do when they come up on problems. Sometimes everybody doesn't need to be arrested. Sometimes they just need to be talked to.
Right.
So we came up with what we call clergy ride-along. We call it the ride-along.
Oh, yeah.
And
some of the clergy was riding with the police?
well, I'm getting to that.
Okay.
So what we did was we decided, went to them, and the captain was Captain Donnell Whitfield. And by the way, he just passed away just the day before yesterday.
Oh, wow.
And talked to him about what we could do to help alleviate and solve some of the problems in the community without taking people to jail, especially domestic problems. Many times, husband and wife get into it. You don't have to take them to jail. They just need to talk, need somebody to talk to. So we came up with the ride-along program. Well, the police department said in order for us to do that, we would have to have bulletproof vests, right? So they supplied us with the bulletproof vests, and they had to make a special one for me. I never will forget that.
Right.
Because I was a little bigger than the rest of the policemen. And we began to ride along those in that district. I got the preachers together, and we ride along. We called it the Ride Along program. And we had schedules, and many times when they had domestic problems, we would come up and kind of walk down the street with him or her, and it would solve the problem rather than having to take them to jail. So that was one of the first things that we got involved with here in the community. And ever since then, we've been deeply involved. I was in the Clergy Coalition. I became a chaplain for the city, and then I became a chaplain for the county, and now I'm a chaplain for the Federal Bureau of Investigation.
Oh,
so, been involved in every way that we can. I became the president of the St. Louis Clergy Coalition, and I remember I was going down Kings Highway, and they had these billboards, smoking billboards, and they had the Campbell smoking billboard.
Right.
And they was dressing the Campbell up like young black kids. And then that thing just irritated me so much. So I went to Walgreens, and I got the big boards, the big place to put pastor boards where you can write on,
The what now?
The big paper board, what do they call them? Anyway, where the big paper that you, like cardboard.
Right.
kind of paper that you could write on. And,
Oh, okay.
yeah,
Right. Right.
Yeah, yeah.
Right.
And so I got one of those and went back to that sign on Martin Luther on Kings Highway, and I started holding it up right in front of that sign. And before I knew it, 3 or 4 other preachers came and they joined me.
Wow.
And as a result of that, all the preachers got involved, and we would go to all those signs. Those were the Joe Campbell signs, and we would protest those signs. And eventually, the Governor Mel Carnahan, heard about it, and he was excited about getting those smoking books because you were targeting those black young people.
Absolutely.
And that's racism when you're going to target a race.
Absolutely.
And
Racism for profit.
yes, sir. And so Father Flavian in Chicago, who was here just last week, he heard about it and he said, "Well, we've done that, some up here, and let me help you." And so he showed me what they did, and ultimately we were right down here in Ferguson. We went right down on South Florissant, and the governor and the attorney general was working on legislation. And ultimately, I just wanted to start with the embryo stages of my being involved in the community. So ultimately, we got legislation passed, and the governor and the attorney general came down with me. Of course, I had some clergy with me, and we stood on, there was a big Salem sign, smoking Salem cigarettes, I guess, right there on the corner of South Florissant, and I don't know what that cross street is. But
Is that Chambers?
No, it wasn't that far
Okay.
down. It wasn't that far down.
Okay.
It was the street that you turn up to go into. No, the street you turn up off of South Florissant, you turn up to go up into Kirkwood,
Okay.
whatever that street is. Not Kirkwood, Kinlock.
Kinlock.
And they brought a crane and they pulled that sign down. And as a result, every smoking sign in the state of Missouri had to come down.
Wow.
And so that was the beginning of my getting involved. Let me give you one other incident.
That was Airport Road, yeah.
I think it was, yeah.
Yeah.
And so one other incident that I want to share with you, at least in this interview, is on the corner of Kings Highway and Natural Bridge,
Okay.
and Grand and Natural Bridge.
Okay.
They were building new Amoco stations.
Right.
They were building them together. I came by there and saw not one African American. I sat out in front of both of them.
In our communities.
In the black community. I sat out in the one on Natural Bridge and Kings Highway for an hour or two. I just sit there waiting to see if some African American were gonna come carrying hard or shoveling cement or something. Not
Right.
one. I left and went over on Grand, and the same thing. I sit there, I think I did it a couple days, didn't come back. I went back, got me another one of those boards from Walgreens, and I had unfair labor. And I walked up and down by myself. I remember
Nobody else with you.
No. And when I got through, there was about 15 or 20 people who had stopped and walked with me, right?
Wow.
Next thing I knew, I got a call from the Amoco headquarters in Iowa. And I told them, we're going to shut this down. We don't want another brick laid until we have African Americans in it. Don't you know that they shut that both of them projects down, and they got African American contractors to go in there and finish it. I wanted to share that with you because there's always a beginning. There's always a beginning. Now, since then, several things have taken place that has involved me. I don't take any of the praise. I give all the glory to God.
Right.
But the Lord installs in people
That's
certain gifts, certain attributes, and it is our job to use them to the best ability for the cause of, and this is for the cause of our community.
Pastor,
Yes, sir.
what you're telling us now is a lot of people out there saying, he probably didn't come up like us for you to reach this plateau in life. You know? you didn't come up where you had feared, or you was bullied, or you had apprehension about what you wanted to be, or stuff like that. It seemed like you had it all made from the beginning.
No, let me share. I came up in Colorado on a farm, 200-acre farm. Grandfather owned this farm. And our job was to take care of it. We had goats and cows, and we had 36 milk cows.
You farm boy.
Yeah, and we had to do that every morning and every evening, right? And so my challenges when you talk about having peer pressure was that we were the only blacks in our school. We were the only black family in this area, Brighton, Colorado, right? And so that was a challenge. Nothing like what it was here, I'm sure, or in the South. Nothing like that, but a challenge nonetheless. And so I grew up on the farm there in Colorado. And when I was 13 years old, my grandfather owned a junk, they used to call it a junkyard. Now they call it a salvage yard. But
Right.
y'all know it as a junkyard. So,
Right.
go ahead. So he would get old cars and then take parts off and sell them, that's another. And one morning, we couldn't get the car started. It was so cold. And so he asked me to drive the truck. I wasn't but 12, but I knew how to drive that big truck. And he said, so I said to my oldest brother, I said, well, you go ahead and drive. Sam, my oldest brother. Sam started driving the truck. My grandfather was in the car behind. He was trying to get it started, and they were pulling it. And I was standing on the running board. In some kind of way, I fell off the running board under this tandem truck. And both sets of wheels ran right over my stomach.
Oh, wow.
And so it's just a miracle that I'm here, because
A truck.
a tandem truck, 2 sets of wheels.
That's a lot of weight.
It's 4 wheels, yeah, and it had junk on it. And so the doctor came to the house, and they took me to the hospital. I had surgery for, I think, 11 hours, they tell me. And then they told my mama, well, just y'all come see him, because he's not going to make it through the
Oh, wow.
So my life has had a call on it. So I look at things like the Amoco stuff, the smoking billboard. Way back then, God had a plan for me in my life. So I didn't have some of the peer pressure that maybe you all grew up with. My peer pressure was, I was like a leader, and I would want to do stuff wrong, and my peer pressure was, how could I get people to follow me to do it? You know what I'm saying? That's rather than me following other people do it. So I've always had that leadership ability, which is peer pressure in and of itself, because you got to make sure that some of the decisions that you make don't impact negatively on the people that are trying to follow you.
Yeah,
And that has happened. I mean, I've made some wrong steps and that kind of thing. But I would just have to say that a lot of stuff, now that I'm grown, I pray about it, and sometimes it's the right decision, sometimes it ain't. But I try to do what I think is the right decision and keep going.
So you was one of the ones that was applying peer pressure to some of your other friends when you was coming up, to get them to follow you.
That's right. And so, you know, those have been my challenges. I went to a boarding academy in Pottstown, Pennsylvania. My uncle was invited to be the cook at this academy, and he asked me to help him drive to Pennsylvania to see this school. And that's the first time I've been to St. Louis. They were they were building the arch. And we rode through 70, and I saw those arch things come up, you know.
Wow.
And so that's the first time I've been here. And then when I graduated from that, I went to Oakwood College down in Huntsville, Alabama. And then from there up to Barron Springs, Michigan for I worked on my master's.
Pastor, you said you went to all-white school.
My elementary, yeah.
Yeah. Did you face racism, or was you bullied? How did you deal with that?
Yes, but again, I want to stress that it wasn't on the same level that I'm sure some of you all went through here.
Right.
But it was small. Every now and then we'd be called nigger, And my grandfather told us that you don't ever let nobody call you that, and if they do, bust them upside the head. And then that was just a joy to me.
Did you ever have to bust somebody?
Oh yeah.
Oh.
Yeah, we'd bust them boys, and I would love to do that because I was big,
Right.
and I would just wait for some of it. In fact, I'd entice them to entice them to say something so I could go upside their head. So I did that. Then we'd get kicked out of school, you know,
Right.
and stuff like that. But those were small things compared to some of the things that I've heard that would go on in a large city like St. Louis.
Yeah, but it's the same thing. It's just in a different environment.
Yeah, different environment.
Yeah, same thing.
What about being bullied? Have you ever been bullied?
When you say bully, what do you mean?
Person, you don't do what I tell you to do.
Yeah, I'm sure I
Give me that
have.
money.
Yeah, oh no, I pretty much. I can't say. I'm sure I've been whooped, but I don't remember that.
So you don't remember them whoopings?
I don't remember the whoopings, but I'm sure somebody done tagged me. I remember one time, one of them white boys, corn-fed white boy, called me a nigga, and so I jumped on him, and he was getting the best of me. And I hollered out to my brother Sam. He was playing baseball with the other kids.
You hollered out what you say?
Yeah, I said, Sam, I need help. and he came over there, and boy, we tagged his boy name was Wayne Belts, and we whooped Wayne real bad. But you know, I look at that, and then when I hear stories like things that you all told me and others, you know, they pale into insignificant to some real issues of life. Like I've not really been bullied to smoke marijuana, or and I have when I was in college. But I was just doing it because why are these guys so into it? Let me try. And
Right.
so that was, but it wasn't anything that I was really interested in, you know, and or drinking and stuff like that. You know, the kids was drinking in school mint gin, and they say because you couldn't smell it. That's what they
Right, had that mint flavor.
Yeah, it had that mint thing, so the teacher then couldn't smell it and nothing like that. But I didn't feel pressured into doing it. I just did it because I wanted to do it. I guess it was pressure, but it wasn't, you know, something.
It wasn't overt.
No,
It
no,
wasn't overt pressure.
Yeah, it
Yeah,
wasn't something that I really would lose sleep over. So, you know, those are the kinds. So I've done my share, you know, of wrongs. Now I don't want to come like I'm a goody two-shoe, but
Right.
you know, I've done my share of wrong things. But I don't really think that I've been pressured and eating too much, you know, that kind of stuff, you know.
What brought you to enter into the ministry? What is it something that happened, or is your family directed you in that path? How did you end up?
I think when I got ran over by that truck, I remember as a 12-year-old, I think 13, I was right between 12 and 13. I remember being in a hospital bed.
Right.
And in Colorado, they used to have a soda pop called Duffy's.
I remember Duffy.
You remember Duffy's? Yeah. And there was a big sign that had those Duffy's soda pops, and they would go around and around, and I could see it from the intensive care unit. I could see that sign. And I remember looking at that sign, and some kind of way, I felt like, man, you know, I got a call. There's something that I need to do. And when I was younger than that, while my brothers and sisters, you know, we had the record player. What we call it, 45s.
45s and 33s.
Yeah, all them.
Yeah.
And they would listen to Come On, Let's Twist Again, or Do the Twist and the Mashed Potatoes. And I would do that. I would get into that. But other times,
Could you dance, Pastor?
Oh yeah. In fact, I won a little dance at the YCA. I won a little trophy doing the mashed potatoes.
Is that right?
Oh, I could mash up some potatoes. But I got all on my knees mashing potatoes and all that old kind of stuff. But there was still in my mind, I felt, and I did, man, I really wanted to become a rancher, to own a ranch. I was all caught up in that because I worked on the farm up in Pennsylvania and I wanted to be a rancher. Then I wanted to own a car dealership.
Right.
And to the point where I had written General Motors because I didn't see why we needed it back. This is way back. I didn't see why we needed an Oldsmobile dealership and a Buick dealership and a Chevrolet dealership and what else did I mean? I said, why can't we just have one dealership for all of them?
For all of them.
And I wrote that letter to somebody up in General Motors. But just think about where my mind was long before, now they all combine. So those are the kinds of things that used to run through my mind. But the ministry never left my mind, all those things.
But getting back to that sign, I kind of miss. You may have explained it, and maybe I might not be as sharp as tool in the shed, but I didn't get the correlation with the Duffy sign and you in the ministry. What significance did the Duffy signs play on you wanting to get into the ministry?
That's an excellent question, Fred. Excellent question. All I know is that I remember looking at that. And of course, I couldn't drink any water. I couldn't drink because I had tubes all in my body. So
right.
And I used to look like and say, man, if I could just have one of them Duffy things, and I just pray, Lord, that you just let me have just one of those bottles of Duffy, because it was going around. I'm not so sure I know how that correlated with ministry, but I remember that sign, and I remember, saying I need to go into ministry. I'm not so sure I know what the coalition was, but they go together in my ministry.
But stood out.
Yeah, it stood out and goes together in my ministry.
Pastor, I'm gonna ask you this. Have you ever said anything about women?
Have I said anything?
You haven't said anything about a woman.
Okay.
Did you have any problem with them coming up?
Problems, you mean being with them?
Interacting, relationships?
No, Perry, I ain't never had no problem interacting with the ladies, with the girls. Generally, if I was attracted to one, it's usually pretty well worked out, I guess like most men, if you see somebody you like, you speak to them, talk to them. I've always had a silver tongue, so, that would make up for any deficiency that I may have had. But, a lot of times because you're big, you think, well, the girls ain't interested in it. But y'all know if you talk right, it seems to work out. Of course, I got a pretty good one now, and I just moved in on her, and so now you see what the Lord.
So you moved in on her.
Yeah, I moved in, and so we worked it all out. Yeah.
Sometimes, Pastor, when we think we moving in, the one lady's already got it figured out.
Yeah, they might have. Yeah, you
so
never know. Yeah, see,
so
yeah,
we think we doing something.
Yeah, we think we did something, but they figured it out long before we got there. So.
Yeah. A woman told me, no, you think you called me, I called you.
Yeah, that's
Right,
right. That's
Yeah.
right.
Because I talked to the first lady too.
Did you talk to her? Yeah, you need to get her on the show.
Yeah. Because her story about the connection varies a little different. Yeah.
I'm sure it is. I'm sure it is.
But the main thing, y'all came together.
Thank the Lord for that.
Whoever story is correct.
Yeah, we're together.
Y'all together. And she's a beautiful sister.
Well, I praise God for her. I praise God for her, yeah. But we've been involved back to the community, a whole lot of things, and we've had our battles, and we got arrested when we marched on Highway 70. We closed down Highway 70.
What year was that? When was that?
I don't know. You remember when
You talking about after? You talking about in the past decade or so?
No, that's been more than a decade, I think. Y'all remember Eddie Husan? Not Eddie. Yeah, Eddie, I think that was his name, Eddie Husan.
Eddie Hassan.
Yeah, and he was over the black contractors. And,
Right.
And they were protesting about something, and we got the governor to agree to build a construction place so black contractors could learn. And before the governor agreed to do it, they had decided to shut the highway down, Highway 70 right here, Goodfellow. And y'all may not have been here during that time. I don't know.
I remember when it happened. I wasn't in St. Louis at the
But
time,
you remember when we
I
did? Yeah, because it
remember
got
that.
national. Yeah, it got national
Yeah.
coverage.
Because he was part of MOPAC.
MoPac or whatever.
Yeah.
And,
And they had the training facility.
that's right, and that was what the big deal was about. But the governor called and agreed. He said, "All right, we'll do it." But Husan and them had gone so far with the plans of shutting down, and I tried to talk them not to do it because the governor agreed. But it was so far they felt they should go along. I felt I should go with them since I was a part of
Right.
planning it, even though the governor had agreed. He never did really understand why I would after he agreed, but I felt loyal. I felt like since my people went that far, and he should have agreed before we got to that point. So that's what
Yeah, you always have 4 or 5 people. Matter of fact, recently they had something about Ferguson, and they met and you got a reward.
Yeah.
What was that for?
Well, that award was the 10th anniversary of Ferguson, of the riot that took in Ferguson. And during that riot time, I was out there. Well, actually, I was right in my office, and the chief of police from county called me and said he's on his way to Ferguson, and asked me did I want to go with him. And I'm thinking, well, why would he want me to go when they were targeting the police, And so,
Right.
but anyway, I rode down there with him, and there was a lot of action and activity. And then I would, right out here on South Florissant, a group would come, and I'd try to talk to them and try to calm them down. And then that night, they would burn and stuff. I was right out there trying to stop all that. And so, we did everything we could. They came here. In fact, on the 30th, that FBI report that I told you about,
Right.
they're going to show it, and I invited you all to come and be a part of it.
Yeah, I definitely want to be there for that.
Yeah, it'll be on the 30th. So we so we were involved with that, and we got an award, and I'm thankful for it. I'm humbled by it. It was the legendary Justice Award for
Right.
Ferguson.
We were there.
You all, both of you came.
We were at
support.
that was fantastic. I
Yeah.
mean, they really showed their appreciation to you, your family,
And to our church.
and to our church.
Yeah.
Because our church is active in being positive in the community and helping people and saving lives. And it was an honor for me to even be there and be a part of the whole, all of the festivities. It was and man, when they was talking about you, I say, man, I didn't know who I was connected with. This guy.
No, I really feel like the award really should have gone to New Horizon, but I was humbled by it.
But you are New Horizon.
Yeah.
You are New Horizon. You're not the only one that's New Horizon, but you are a direct representative of New Horizon.
Yeah.
And that goes without a doubt. But let me ask you this, because I know that you have done a lot of things in the past, but it's not like you stuck on what you've done, because you have never stopped moving forward with making a difference in the community, and that just goes to show, because of what's coming up with the HBCUs.
Oh, yeah, we need to talk about that. I was gonna save that for another. The most recent thing is that we have all these black churches in St. Louis City and St. Louis County.
Right.
And none of them are supporting Harris-Stowe University financially, right?
Right.
So the Lord gave me the vision to say, let's pull these churches together and let's come up with a way that we can, I said none, but there was one church that was supporting. And so we got all of the preachers together, went to the Clergy Coalition. And so I'm just so excited that we're going to have on the 12th of October, here at New Horizon, we're going to have Harris-Stowe State University Day at our church, and it will begin the kickoff. We want to raise, among all of the black churches, $150,000 for scholarship money for Harris-Stowe Teachers College.
And all that money goes direct to Harris-Stowe.
Direct to Harris-Stowe, yeah, there's no
There's no in between, nobody taking none of these funds.
Every dime goes to Harris-Stowe, yeah.
And see, I knew, I kind of felt that you wanted to say that for a later date, but I felt the need, necessary to get it out now because we want to invite the public. We wanted to invite anybody that's listening, in our listening audience, that feel compelled and want to play a part or contribute to this, what we're doing. We want you to be able to come in and participate and just see what's going on, see what we're working on.
That's a good point. That's a good point.
So we had to get that in before the event even comes up. You know, so you want to give them the address or where to come to?
Of course. Everybody's going to be invited on October 12th at 11 o'clock. That's Saturday at 11 o'clock here at the church, 206 Emerling Drive, just right off of Florissant Road and 7th. And that's where we'll be. And if you went to Harris-Stowe Teachers College or Harris-Stowe University, if you didn't go, if one of your children went or your cousins went, y'all are all welcome to come and be a part of this great day that we have, because that will be the kickoff. And after our church, it will go to another one of the African American churches in our community until we cover every church. That's going to increase not only finances, but it also should increase enrollment.
Enrollment, absolutely, because it brings about more awareness.
That's right.
And the thing about that too is that it's almost impossible to find any blacks is throughout our community that's not connected some kind of way with somebody that's been a participant or involved with Harris-Stowe.
Of course, yeah.
So it's not just you and I and a few others. This is an entire community that has connection to this. I mean, this outstanding university that has been a part of building a future for so many different lives, and we want it to continue and enable our people to be the best, have an opportunity to be the best that they can be, and I mean, Pastor, you are still doing tremendous
Well,
things.
keep in mind, Fred, that it's the only African American college, university in our area. Lincoln, of course, in Jeff City.
Right.
But this one is the one in our immediate area. So, folk, please come out and support it. You're going to enjoy it. Our guest speaker is Pastor Riley from Central Baptist Church. Central Baptist is the oldest African American Baptist church this side of the Mississippi River.
Oh, okay.
And so he's going to be our speaker. And
is he from St. Louis?
No, he's not from St. Louis.
Okay.
He has just been. They accepted the call to go to Central, so he's kind of new in town, but he's a good preacher, and we're just going to have a good day. The choir, Harris-Stowe University Choir will be with us.
Oh, okay.
Their cheer team is going to be with us.
Okay.
It'll be covered, media will cover the event, so everybody come out and let's be a part.
Come on out, let's see.
You said you wanted to say what you just got to talk about for a later interview. One interview I want you to have with us later on, you had a heck of impact on the young coming up. I want you to tell us all about that.
I'll be glad
because you definitely had an impact.
I'll be glad to share that.
Yeah, we're certainly looking forward to that.
And we want you to, because these youngsters out here need to hear somebody talk to them.
I'll be happy to do it.
This has been a fantastic session we've had with you, and for you to be so open. And you know, it's kind of funny in a way, because a lot of times when you talk to a pastor or a priest or minister, a lot of people think that that's all that a pastor has to offer is religious views or tell them about God, which don't get me wrong, there's nothing wrong with that, you know, but it's a lot of people out there want to hear about you and want to hear real life stories as opposed to the godly side of it,
Of
you
course,
know.
yeah.
And I appreciate this interview with you as much or more for that reason, because I got to kind of look at it too from somebody else's perspective and what they looking for, what they want to hear. And you shared a piece of you that today and your history that I'm sure a lot of people didn't know.
Yeah.
But you know, cause you just told me some things that I didn't know.
Yeah.
You know what you've been through.
Well, I'm thankful for you all to have this interest in trying to get the word out to young people. There's a better way. There's a better
Absolutely.
way, and I think this is a great program. So congratulations to it, and however we can help, just let us know.
We certainly be getting with you, Pastor, because there's a lot of ways you'll be able to help, and I know you all people coming out to see the hopefully for the HBCUs. Man, don't forget Word either. Working on Real Dreams, because we working constantly, day in and day out, 24/7 to help make a difference in the lives of our young people, and we need your support as well, and we look forward to. And I know it's gonna be people wanting to hear from the pastor again. So I promise you, I got Pastor. Can I give the public my word right now that you'll be back with us?
No
God
question,
willing.
no question. You know I'm gonna be there because we here, so I'm gonna be there.
We here and we gonna be there.
That's right.
Yeah, that covers everything. So we have to like to thank you all for joining us today, and keep looking, keep listening, keep watching. And we will continue to bring us, the pastor, and many other outstanding guests to you on a regular basis, and so we can continue to make a difference throughout our communities. Thanks again.